up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going, Healthy Warrior Shane?
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again. Guys, I'm at Ref Marsh. We're at WOTR, the show. With me today, the other half of the legendary tag team podcasting duo, the IIRonics. We got Kevlar on the rocks. With an X.
I'm still not going to get used to it.
I know, dude. Some things are just so great. It's hard to like. You know what I mean? Like some things are just so perfect, like it never gets old. Yeah, you can't wrap your head around. You're just like, how could this be? It's like perfection, you know. Oh, I didn't set up the Zoom right, and now Grim's freaking out. So I'm gonna fix that for him. There we go. Now, anyone who's watching, we're back in business, baby. Technical difficulties. Take a drink.
I'm done.
Yeah, let's start with a little bit what's in your glass.
I'm going back with the Coors Seltzer.
Coors Seltzer?
Hot as balls here in Arizona.
Those are so good. I'm gonna have here in a little bit Winchester straight bourbon whiskey and a coffee. I'm having a super coffee. It's my keto coffee. I was in Alaska for a week. I cheated a lot. This has a ton of like good digestive stuff for if you're on keto. So I'm hoping this will give me that old blowout cleanse. You know what I mean?
Sure, producer would love that.
Oh yeah, can't get enough. Grim Reaper starting the chat, so cheers to Grim Reaper. I do want to give a quick shout out because we happen to be recording on the day of the exact person who opens and closes our shows properly. Actually, Miss Bailey. Bailey's birthday today. It's a Bay Day, dude.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So happy birthday from your sheep, Bailey.
You needed a ding dong that birthday.
A ding dong, a birthday. Yep, it works. Fucking works, dude. Just in time coming through. Cheers to Just in Time. The In Time Wrestling Podcast actually just went through a little bit of a rebranding themselves. They're switching it up the way they're handling their business. So check them out. In Time Wrestling Podcast. Not available on Apple Podcasts. Still very upsetting to me. And at one of these points, I'm just gonna hack into his system and do it myself, I think.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. That's all that stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I'm
The
trying to think what else
formalities out of
was.
the way.
Yeah, formalities and positivity. Get the positivity out of the way. This was a rough week, dude. You and me, as a team, I only ask you to watch 5 hours of wrestling a week. I ask you to watch Smackdown and Raw.
And it was tough.
There was like a 60% failure rate this week.
It's like my high school test scores.
Yeah, absolutely. Raw going through high school puberty all over again. Yeah, I even have Raw playing in the background here, just looking for anything that is redeemable we're talking about, and even the fucking app froze. Even they're like, I don't know, man. Are you sure you want to go through this? You already saw it the once, or like, do you really want to replay this? Like,
you're gonna put yourself through this again?
Yeah.
It's not even asking you if you're still watching it. If you're awake. It's like, are you sure?
Yeah, it's
really
like the Netflix. Are you still watching this? But instead it pops up with that little, why are you still watching this?
Yeah. You know, we could suggest other shows for you to watch.
Yeah, it just starts changing the channel. Boop, boop, boop. They're like, if you like this, stop watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't like the worst week ever, but it was a big slump in a long time, which was a little frustrating because I feel like that Raw's been on a lot of hits lately. They've been knocking it out of the park for a bit there, and then this one was really like invasion of the mid card.
Yeah, but you can't forever, be on a steady incline. Eventually, you got to have your little valley and go down a bit. So
that's true. Every peak has a valley. Well, I guess before we get into the shows themselves, though, I mean, I guess there's no reason to ignore it, but the only I didn't have I mean, there's news that popped today about Vince McMahon and an apparent $3 million worth of NDAs to people leaving the company who may or may not have had affairs with him and such. And I mean, there's just a lot there that I don't know, that I don't know that I need to know, that is semi-interesting, but just a lot to digest and even get combed through, that I don't feel like I'm in any place to be all like, here's what I think. I'm also not a fucking lawyer. So there's not a lot there for me to be like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound good, I'll tell you that. But apart from that, the only other news that's really out there right now, and I just don't want people to think I wasn't aware of it. I just don't have anything to say on it as of now. And so unless we do, or until we do, then we'll leave it where it's at. The only other thing is the obvious, the aggravated DUI that Jeff Hardy got. Over the weekend, he was at a convention. He was playing music right after the convention. So, like, what it was, the convention was open like, it was something like 6 to 10, and he was playing like 9:30 to 10:30. So it was kind of like closing out the convention kind of a deal. And it's all pretty obvious. This is all stuff that's just, you can just see by just scrolling through Twitter. Like, you can see where he's at, you can see what he's wearing, you can see the stuff behind him, you can see the pictures of the meet and greets. He's in the same exact spot. All that to say, the comments that Matt Hardy and Reba Hardy have made since then was that they had no idea, they were nowhere around it, that they took him home to his hotel, and that was the last they know, but they're there with him. And it's obvious, like they're lying about something that's just right there in their face, so it's really weird. But either way, they're lying about at least part of it, which is frustrating to say the least. But at the same time, you know, who's responsible for what? I don't know, man. It's a shitty situation. It's really tough. WWE releases him. Well, they give him an ultimatum less than a year ago. They said, go to rehab and clean up or lose your job. So he says he refused to. He said he refused to go to rehab and said, then terminate me, to which they did. He then went on Matt Hardy's podcast and said, fuck the WWE for trying to make me go to rehab. I know what's best, and what I need is my friends and family. Matt Hardy said, that's right. You're back with your brother where you belong. The WWE doesn't know what they're talking about. They celebrated when the drug test came back and there were no narcotics in his system. But here we are, just a few months shy of that. And at the time, we even talked about it. A lot of people were putting out speculation that he faked it for the sake of getting out of his contract, and how brilliant is that. And I even said then, it's a shitty thing to speculate on someone's character to begin with, but also someone who's got issues. Like, at the end of the day, just be healthy. And here we are just a few months later. He's been arrested for DUI. He blew .294, the legal limit in Florida, as is most places, a .08. So it was over 3 times that. Third time in less than 10 years, which just means that there's higher penalties on it. But it sucks, man. It's shitty. And now there's a lot of people going back and forth. I think my favorite IWC comment right now is, let's not make this a WWE or AEW thing. The only thing that I find, I mean, I agree that it's not AEW versus WWE here. AEW did put out a statement that he's suspended indefinitely without pay until he completes some sort of rehab, which is good. They've pulled him from all things. But at the same time, like, I just think it's ironic that people who are getting the loudest about, let's not talk about AEW or WWE, let's focus solely on Jeff here. Because when Jeff left the WWE, it was pushed by those same voices that this is a WWE AEW thing. AEW would never do this. WWE doesn't know what they're doing. AEW's the place he needs to be. It's where he's going to be best. It's all this stuff. People watching AEW are even saying, like, hey, this is a lot. Like, and he's starting to act a little weird. Is someone keeping an eye on him? And, like, there's just a lot. And so I think that to say that WWE and AEW aren't a part of the conversation at all is silly. But to say that either company is hold solely responsible for this either is also silly. Like, this, it's a much more complex situation than that. I know that was a lot long-winded, a whole lot I threw at you. I don't know how much you knew or didn't know. Kev, what do you think, man? What's going
on? Well, you know, just like everyone else, first and foremost, just want Jeff to get the help he needs.
Yeah.
And it's if it wasn't evident before, it's clear that he needs help.
Yep.
Professional help. And, like you said with the IWC, where they're shitting on WWE, saying, I saw a bunch of that stuff too. Like, they don't care about their the performers as people; they just care about assets. Kind of like I just saw the new Jurassic Park, and they talked about the dinosaurs being assets. So that's what it kind of reminded me of. Is a lot of people saying WWE just looks at the performers as assets and not as actual people, and like you said, AEW, or they were saying AEW wouldn't do this to their, their family and stuff like that. And it's clear that they're now, forced to do that. And,
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Reba and Matt thing, like, there's a lot to be questioning there. Like, even the stuff that they put out afterwards. It's like, you had to have known he got arrested.
Yes.
And they're over there just playing it off and, almost like, hey, look at me, look how many likes I can get right now. Look over here, and it's like,
Yeah, it was insane and
crazy.
disgraceful, to be honest. Like, Jeff gets arrested. It's all over the news. It's everywhere. Matt Hardy logs into his Instagram to post a video of him and his wife talking about how much fun they had, how much fun Jeff had, how Florida's been amazing to them. And you're like, dude, it's been out for hours. Like, there's no way you don't know. Like, if the news cycles have it, you're aware of it. Like,
yeah.
And then she posted that stupid TikTok. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, somebody would have texted you or called you right now.
Yes.
And if they didn't, like, you're living in a cave.
Yeah, insane. So I just
and then the timeline even leading up to it is like, like, oh, we had no idea. We dropped him off at his hotel room, so he decided to down a bottle of whiskey or whatever, and then leave his hotel room. Like,
the only problem with that is that the video of him playing his concert that happened right after the convention was kind of ending. He chugs back whiskey right before he starts playing a song and says, "Whiskey is my best friend and my worst enemy."
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
So if they drove him home from the convention, he hadn't left the convention before he was drinking.
Yeah.
Because I also understand the argument of, or the possibility of, not argument of, but the possibility that you can take someone home, you can think that they're fine, and then they sneak back out. That happens, man. But
100%.
There's just a lot there that's a mess, man.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that we had no clue, and if you were to believe them, like, for his alcohol level to get that high within, 2 hours? Because then he get to do, like 2 hours of them dropping him off or something like that. Like, he would have literally just, all right, I'm going to chug this bottle and go.
Yeah.
But, whatever. At the end of the day, we just wish him the best, and
just want what's best for him.
Yeah, he needs help.
Fresh news is in the chat saying McMahon's being investigated by WWE. Yeah, we already touched on that. It's just too new, and there's a lot there for us, so we don't have much of a. We don't have enough to really comment. It only dropped like a couple hours ago, and we haven't had time to really dig into it, so we don't have anything to say on it other than sounds bad. It doesn't sound good.
Well, just like any fresh news thing, like, because that's the thing that gets me with, just local news, and, is that there's always people that just jumps to conclusions right before more facts come in.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, let's pump our brakes. Let's let it play out a minute before saying, fire him or do whatever.
Or whatever it turns out to be. I mean, he has a board to answer to. And I don't know how any multi-billion-dollar corporations work to begin with, but if he had an affair with some people and they paid them hush money or whatever, like, it doesn't impact what I watch on TV day to day, except for if the board actually removes him and he's no longer part of the creative process anymore, then, which is a possibility. So, I mean, it could be really big news upcoming, right? Could be massive news as things roll on. But as of right now, there's an investigation internally, and we know some about it. It's also, it sounds like $3 million. So also maybe something he could just pay back the company. I don't know, man. I don't know how any of that stuff works. None of it. But yeah, it is what it is, and we'll see how it plays out for sure. Kuro's in the chat popping through. He was here a couple weeks back and mentioned he had his first interaction with some dirt sheet guys, and the name he gave was one of the piece of shit dudes from Ringside News. And after he said that, like, a bunch of shit came out about that dude. It was really fucking funny. But to circle back a little bit, something else I wanted to mention to you, because a lot of people are trying to say it's not a factor, and I think that it's a little silly to go that route as well, where they're talking about. Well, I mean, let's circle back to Booker T. Booker T made a comment saying that Jeff Hardy is in AEW taking the craziest bumps he has in his entire career. He's taking every match he has is a ladder match. Every match. Yeah. And every match he has, he's either jumping off a 20-foot ladder or somebody's jumping off a 20-foot ladder onto him, onto concrete. The Young Bucks match he just was in, he got concussed and doesn't remember any of the match. Booker T made the comment. Was he concussed or drunk? He was concussed, dude. What's the difference? Yeah, but at the same time, if you're doing all those things and you're going through all that pain, the Hardys have always maintained that pain management was a major factor in their addiction problems. And if you are an addict, you need to be aware of and avoid triggers, right? It's one of those things. For people to pretend that AEW isn't a factor at all is a little silly, and only because of this. What were the matches like with Jeff Hardy as he wound down his career in WWE? You know, he jumped off the ring apron like once a match. Or not the ring apron, but the top turnbuckle even. Like, he wasn't doing a bunch of crazy stuff. They kept him from it. He did do that bar thing. He jumped off a ladder in the bar thing, and he was in the Clash of Champions triple threat ladder match. But these were also during pandemic era. We know some of these things they were doing crash pads with, because sometimes we could see him in shots. So who knows if he was even taking the full-on bump or not. I don't know. But he was being forced to work a safer style in WWE that he's not being forced to adhere to in AEW. And AEW is a lot of car crash match TVs. A lot of people want just chaos and massive stunts. And it may not be in Jeff's best interest to be doing those things. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
That's one of the things I thought of was, you know, seeing some of the bumps that he's taken in AEW, and like you said, knowing the addiction process with the Hardys, you know, there's a pain management. It's like, first of all, you're taking these ridiculous bumps again, and second of all, you're older now.
Yeah,
like, your body can't, you know, snap back the way it used to.
Yeah,
but
it just sucks, dude. It sucks because it's. I mean, and if he started drinking before he left WWE, that's also possible, right? Because that's what they said to him. Get clean or go, and he left. Then that conversation opens up later on. Is Tony Khan really concerned about the wellness of his employees if one company says you're unwell and he goes, well, we'll take you because you're a good name? You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy, dude. And I'm not blaming either or saying that Tony holds some greater weight than Vince, you know, because it'd be also silly to pretend that Jeff Hardy didn't make the majority of his injuries in WWE. You know what I mean? Like, most everything has been that. But I kind of feel like both companies have a little bit of weight to bear on the situation, and I think both companies need to do everything that they can, even today, and try and help him, whatever that looks like. And to be honest, I've been saying it for a bit. I don't really need to see Jeff in a ring at all, let alone massive bumps, and that's not out of lack of respect. It's actually it's out of nothing but respect. I want him to be around for a long time. I want him to be able to do his paintings, his music. There's plenty of tape of him falling through shit, man. If I need to go see him jump through some shit again, I can go see that. You know?
Yeah. It just, you know, he's looking at the whole, you know, Jeff Hardy's whole career.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's been an amazing talent for years, and, you know, he's awesome, you know, has fans worldwide.
Yeah.
It just sucks in the wrestling aspect that he, if this is the end of his career, that he won't get that retirement match.
Yeah.
The proper send off. But at the same time, you gotta, weigh the risk versus reward here.
Yeah.
And, obviously if this is the last we see him in ring, then it sucks as fans, but if it's for his, well-being, then right on.
Yeah. You know what I'd like to see for him? I think that, because things are different now, I think I'd like to see him get that Stone Cold retirement. You know what I mean? Go ahead, disappear for 10 years. Do your thing where you're kind of a face of wrestling and you talk to people, you do your other things, you do the meet and greets and stuff. I don't know if he could host a podcast, but let him be more of an ambassador for the business of wrestling than an active wrestler. And then, 10 years down the line, if he's up for it, if he's clean, if he's able to be well, maybe get some one-off WrestleMania main event style brouhaha like Stone Cold and Kevin Owens had. It was just spectacle of awesomeness and a farewell to a dude. Let him have one of those and let that be that,
Oh, yeah.
You don't need to beat
And
your
by the
career
way,
into the ground.
Yeah, anyone that complains about the Stone Cold Kevin Owens at Mania, and they can straight kiss my ass, because that was amazing.
Yeah, that was so good, dude. So good.
For Stone Cold to be out that long and come back and it still look it almost looked like you were watching a 2000 or 1998 film of him.
Yeah.
Knees still all busted, but
yeah, get away with some of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nothing else but really kind of get best, to Jeff. He's looking at up to 5 years in prison and potentially some significant fines. Might not be significant to him. It would be significant to me, but you know what I mean? I haven't had the career he's had, so.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And
if they do throw, the book at him, he gets 5 years, you just got to think what kind of shape he'll be in when he gets out, and like I said, you'd have to think that's the end of his in-ring career.
Yeah, it sucks, man. And I've lost too many close friends to drinking. It's hard not to ask around who knew, who saw. I mean, I remember having those same questions when my buddies finally, when they gave out. It was a lot of who knew, and I felt like an idiot as one of the few people who didn't know. Everyone else was close enough, often enough, to see the signs and know, and just not do anything about it, and that
Ignore
sucked.
it. Yeah.
And who's to say that even if they tried more, that something could have changed? Maybe not, but maybe that's one of the reasons why I guess I haven't been too harsh on this, but I've been just absolutely pissed at the whole Matt Hardy thing, because it's there's no way you don't know. You're too close not to know. No matter how much addicts hide, they can never hide all of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen too many people go down that road too many times to know that no one knows. That's never the case. So it bothers me, man. It bothers me. Kira's saying Jeff's got more than 5 because he also had a suspended license and as well as a restricted license driving, so that adds to it, which brings a minimum of 7 years. So, I mean, he could go away for fucking 10, 15 years,
A minimum of 7?
Minimum of 7 with the other stuff, because, I mean, that was... I remember looking at it. Aggravated DUI in Arizona is way worse than aggravated DUI in Florida. I know that. But once you start piling other things onto it, it does start piling on. So, yeah, dude, he could go away for a long time. Yeah. And to be honest, I don't know the right answer, but I wouldn't feel bad if he did. Driving that drunk?
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Or himself.
Yeah. I mean, look at Sunny. She did. She was driving around that drunk and killed somebody, and she's in prison now. And you can't feel bad for her. You know what I mean? You just go, well, it's a shitty story. But you don't feel bad that that's where they ended up. You go, well, thank God they're not making those decisions anymore because it's out of their hands. At what point do we got to take the responsibility out of Jeff's hands if he can't handle it? It just sucks, man. It fucking sucks. But I don't know, man. In the chat, though, just one last little bit on the thing, the Vince thing. He said, let's be honest, if Vince get away with it, bring back Enzo and James Ellsworth. I think they had slightly less to do with the success of WWE at the time, but I hear you. But yeah, get well, Jeff Hardy. I also am not patting anybody on the back here, because I've seen a lot of people talk about how Tony's doing everything perfect, and that's just the way it always goes. But when WWE offered rehab, they were being assholes. So it's just, everyone to me plays a part here. Everyone needs to do what they can. Let's save this dude before it's not an option.
Yeah.
It's one more dude we don't need to bury, man.
I was going to say, we don't need another tears in our beers.
Yep. Yeah. No doubt, man. Well, I mean, it's a bummer way to start the show, but I mean, it's news. It's what's going on, and we talk about it because we care about it, man. We care about it because we watch all the time, and we've watched for a long time. Even when we don't care to continue watching at times.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right, let's see.
So, Smackdown?
Let's go to Smackdown. I'm going to pull it up right now. For Smackdown, I mean, I don't think there was any other news things I thought were really worth digging into as of now, because like I said, we don't have much of the other stuff. I will say, as a side note, just because it's kind of funny, WWE stock is up today after all that news broke, but it's secondary to that. Their stock is up because I forget the name of the person, but there's somebody who basically sets goal prices for stocks and says this is their next target price. And it went from $60 to $75 a stock. And so when people see that a target stock goes up, people start buying in, and that value actually goes up. Which is ironic because about a week or two ago, I sold all my WWE stock because it finally got into the green. Because I bought in on the downslide, and I've only been in the red since I bought it. So it finally came up high enough to where I was like, all right, I'm just getting out, and I've bought into other things, and now it's like slowly on the climb again. I wouldn't have made any more today than I did when I sold, so I will say that it dipped again and went back up. But it is going to be interesting to see how this affects their stock, the internal investigation information coming out and stuff, because that could shake investors, you know.
Oh,
yeah. But I also thought it was funny because I've mentioned here before that I'm a stockholder of WWE, and I was like, I want to do well. I hold stock, and at this point, I no longer hold stock, and now the timing is really bizarre for their stock. So
yeah.
Let's see. Smackdown came out of Baton Rouge. Let's see. It had this is the one that had Smackdown announcing that Sami Zayn versus Riddle was going to be the main event, and if Sami wins, Riddle's barred from SmackDown, and if Riddle wins, he gets a Universal Championship undisputed title match.
Yep.
They didn't play into that at all, dude, before the show. Like, that was how they opened the show, was announcing that match was happening, and I was like, you didn't make one fucking graphic for this during the day. Like, what?
Yeah. No, I was so confused about that.
Yeah.
Where it was, hey, this is happening. I'm like, okay, that, like you said, there was no like lead into it at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, when they made the announcement, I was like, this is awesome. I'm stoked for this match, but I was also kind of like, I can't believe that my email that they send out every week about here's what you can expect didn't list this. Because what it did list was stuff that I was like, okay. It listed 2 Money to Make qualifying matches, and that was kind of it. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I guess we have to do qualifying matches, but that's not like a payoff thing or a massive story thing. So to see that they announced as they opened this, I was like, man, I'd have been hyped for the show had you told me this earlier. But got me excited for it.
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah.
You were hyped because, you love Sammy, and, a lot of people do. But I think if people were like, hey, Riddle's getting, or, a possible title shot, like, people would have been, speaking of stocks, like, Riddle's at the peak right now. Like, people would have gone insane over this.
Yeah, on top of that, if you like Riddle, you're interested. If you like Sammy, you're interested. If you hate the Bloodline, you're interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because you're like, oh shit, Riddle versus Roman potentially. Sami Zayn's the best part of the Bloodline right now, anyways. I just love Sami Zayn.
He is.
Yeah. He's a locker room leader, man. As we get towards the end, though, we'll talk about it more. But Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus opened the show as far as a match went.
Yeah.
It was for a Money in the Bank qualifying match. It devolved into just a massive melee on the outside. They both get counted out. They beat the shit out of each other all over the place. Drew McIntyre kicks Butch's head off. Every referee and official comes running out to separate them. They continue to fight. They get separated. They fight. They get separated. They fight. Goes into the audience. They finally separate them for good. And, you know, pandemonium. They came back from break and they were still fighting. And I was like, oh my God, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And just for sake of not like, so we can just talk topics. Well, let's start with this. What'd you think of the match? Because the match itself prior to the finish, I thought it was pretty fucking good, dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sheamus and Drew, you know, everyone knows about their history. Like, whenever you get KO and Sammy together, you know, so
Yeah.
they work well. It was a good match. Like, it was intriguing. And then the only thing I really hated about the match is how they kept mentioning, like, because they're hyping up Drew, like they always do. And it's, whatever, that's their job. But they're like, there's a segue or something, and somebody mentions, Drew knows what it takes to for Money in the Bank, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then you look on the other side, and it's like, wait, Sheamus actually won Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
He knows what it takes.
Yeah.
So I was annoyed by that, but, outside of that, the match was great.
It got brought up like one time, and I think it was by McAfee, being like, Sheamus has gone the whole way with Money in the Bank and even won the title one time. Like, he wants to do it again. And then the rest of the match are all like, Drew McIntyre knows what it's going to take. And you're like, what? How? He's never...
Yeah. He's never won it. He doesn't know what it takes.
Has he even been in a Money in the Bank match?
I thought he was in one.
He might be in one. Maybe. Maybe two, tops. But I don't think so, dude. I think he's been in one time. I'd have to look it
I think
up.
he's been in three. Because I think they said that he's been in three and Sheamus has been in three. And I was like, okay, well, Sheamus is 1 for 3, and McIntyre is 0 for 3.
Oh.
But I think they mentioned that both of them were in it for 3, or have been in 3 of them.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's possible.
But
those dudes will beat the shit out of each other, dude. They do not care. They're like, hey, you want to go out there and just break my nose? No problem.
Yep.
Yeah, they're in it.
And apparently Ridge Holland's hurt.
Really?
They mentioned that. Yeah.
Is that why he wasn't out there?
Yeah.
All right, I missed that.
I want to say
it's
his knee. Yeah.
Well, he's got bad
But it was
knees,
once
dude.
again. I know. I thought of that. I was like, oh.
Yeah, we don't need this.
But yeah. But yeah, and then the finish. Yeah. And then Drew's a fucking heel. Goes into fucking Pierce's office and put me in, or else type of thing. And then Sheamus does the same thing, and it's like.
Except there was a difference between how they did it. So Drew didn't yell, but he put his hands on Adam and like squeezed his shoulder and said, do the right thing and put me in the match. Put me in the match. And Adam Pearce's like, I can't just do it. And he goes, you better do it. And he's like, fucking do it. Like, he was really threatening and right in Adam Pearce's face, like looking down on him and squeezing his shoulder. Sheamus goes in and he was yelling a lot, but he didn't demand to be put into the match. He said, make it right. Do something.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean force you into the match. It just means do something, right? Maybe do a rematch. Maybe do a different qualifying match. Maybe give me another opportunity to earn my way in. It was just do something. I don't want to hear excuses on why you're not doing anything. I just want something to happen. Whereas Drew was saying, put me in the match without me having to qualify, even though I lost a match and even though that I was cheating just as much as everybody else. Like, it was bullshit, dude. Drew came off as the total asshole here, and Sheamus came off as just a passionate person who wanted a chance. It It was way reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one I wanted Beard's opinion on. Like, look it, he's a fucking heel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's being a heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I thought the same thing. As I watched it, I was like, because I was even saying, like, okay, they're doing a pretty solid job with Drew. I even said to producers who were watching it, I was like, lately, Drew's been more acting like a babyface and acting like a good guy, and it's starting to match up.
And then
This week, not at all. Not at all. I was like, oh, he's
See,
back to
I
being an asshole for no reason.
Yeah, see, I just wonder how much of it has to do with, because, for the last couple of weeks, he's kind of been around New Day.
Yep.
So I wonder if it's just New Day just like, hey, you're supposed to be a babyface, let's do this, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. But we'll see what happens. I don't know what they're going to do because a lot of times they have the qualifying matches, and then all the losers for the qualifying matches are in one big match for the last chance wild card or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do with Drew and Sheamus, and that's kind of where they left it at. Is what are we going to do?
I thought they mentioned that they were going to have another match next week.
I don't think so.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, sorry, I just got a weird alert. I don't remember them saying they're going to do a match. They just said, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? It's probably going to be a rematch. It's probably also going to end in a DQ. It's probably going to be like a 5-week-long story. Take place even after Money in the Bank.
After Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Money in the Bank qualifying match at SummerSlam.
I know that, like, WWE thinned down their roster by a lot. It's not, what it was before. Like, because they used to have like 250 people, and they just don't now. Now that's AEW's thing. And so I know a lot of people are talking about like rematches happening a lot and too often. And sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. I do think that some of the reasons it feels stale, though, is because it's almost like they're unwilling to do the shuffle, right? Like, we're back to Drew and Sheamus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we got there by 6 months of New Day and Sheamus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like, why have the New Day not wrestled anyone but those same 3 people? Why is it that Drew was in the story with Sheamus before, leaves it while New Day takes it over, and then comes back to it? Like, why don't we have a story with New Day and anybody else? Or any other tag team? I know we got a thing in here that Viking Raiders are coming back. I'm excited for that.
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
They're
Especially
awesome.
for them to be on SmackDown.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do something with them in New Day. Let's do something with them in Fight Night, Brawling Brutes, whatever. Like, I just feel like they have a bigger roster than it makes it look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they do have... They did a really cool video package of Seth and Cody, letting everybody know that Cody's going to be out for up to 9 months.
Yeah.
Kiro says he's watching and listening while he's writing creative for the second promotion he's running, solely run by him and 3 other people. That's not solely run, dude. That's... Why would you say solely run by me and 3 others? That's run by 4 people. Solely would imply you're only you, and you go plus the entire team I work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just weird, is all. It's just weird.
Okay. Unless he's solely creative.
Oh,
And
yeah.
everyone else is helping everything else, or doing everything else.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. Hey, what do you think of the Lacey Evans stuff?
It's weird for me. Like, I'm trying not to, like, think of anything, that happened before she left.
Mm-hmm.
Because the shit that, she was doing before she left, I hated. It was stupid. I didn't like. And so I'm like, all right, fresh slate. They kind of repackaged her. she's definitely a face now, and I don't know where she became a motivational speaker all of a sudden, but it just, I don't know, it comes off, lack of better words, is just fake.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Like, so there is this though. The match she had with Xia Li, I think, is the match she needed to have because she looked really good in there. She also looked really stiff, and so did Xia Li. So I wonder if it was all like, hey, I can't flub this up this time. Just let's fucking deck each other, because it was a pretty hard hitting match. It was cool, but
Yeah.
I do think that the character that we're looking at here is a little. I mean, it's been ping ponged around a lot, dude. Like, she debuted on Raw, she debuted on SmackDown, she's back to SmackDown again. She was coming off as kind of an asshole. She was coming off as a good guy. Like, I think at this point they're leaning into the good guy thing. I don't think I love the wake up, work, and win. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's trying to be hustle, loyalty, respect is what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
But it's also...
I was hoping when she came back they'd give her a different finisher.
Here's why I liked the finish. What didn't you like about the women's right?
Oh, I just don't, like, it's just a punch. You know, I don't like when it's a single move like that where it's like, yo, you can effectively just get this off at any time, because anytime she throws a punch and it doesn't knock the person out or, does, a lot of damage, quote unquote, like, I don't know, it just loses it for me.
It makes her other punches look weak?
But I mean, that'd be like if Shawn Michaels did, other super kicks in his match, and then, oh wait, here comes the sweet chin music, and that's the one that knocks him, finishes them.
Yeah. The reason I like the women's right is because it really looks like a sucker punch.
But now she's a face. When she was a heel, I'm okay with it.
Right,
as
but
a
also...
heel, hey, look over there, whap. Type of thing, sucker punch, like...
When Big Show...
But Big Show's huge.
I know, but when Big Show had the knockout punch, he was a good guy, and it was just he would wind up one real good one and haymaker your ass. And that's the impression I'm getting from her, is that it's kind of like this out of nowhere haymaker that she's able to get because she sees that opening and goes for it. It's like when you see a UFC fight that's going on, and then all of a sudden someone catches a lucky kick, or it's like, oh my god, I can't believe they hit that one back hammer, and
no,
that's
100%, it. But I don't know. There's like when Big Show did it, he's a huge guy, cool, boom. I will say about the women's right, I do like that a lot of times it just kind of like the RKO, where it comes out of nowhere.
Yes.
And then it's like, all right, okay, it's over. I don't mind that, but like even just add a signature move if it's not, another move that's, she can win off.
Yes.
Not just the women's right.
It's got to be more than the one. What I liked about it in this one, though, specifically, is it didn't make Xia Li look weak. It just looks like she got caught by one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes some of those finishers just make the other person look like an idiot.
Yeah.
This looked like they were having an all-out fight, and then Xia got caught. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like, Xia Li could easily have won. It really was like a, anyone can get lucky on any given night kind of a win. Like, it didn't feel like, well, Xia Li got her ass handed to her. It's like, no. Like, she just got caught by one. Like, it was cool. That's why I liked it specifically, because I was also nervous about Xia Li going out there and then looking like an idiot and getting her ass handed to her and nothing, But she had a lot of great strikes herself.
Well, and that was the disappointing part, too, is, like, I want to see more of Xia Li. It seems like they called her up. She's like a protector. And then I didn't watch for a while, but it just seems like they didn't do anything with her.
Correct.
And when they said it's the Money in the Bank qualifier, and, they kept talking, Lacey this, Lacey that, Lacey this, I'm like, all right, well, clearly Lacey's going to win it. Like, like going into the match, it was Like, I would have been completely shocked if I was.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a big giveaway. I do have to protect the honor of Kuro. He does say that he's the only one who does creative. That's why he said that. He said the promotion he's running is one financing guy who does booking, hiring employees. One guy does advertising, promotion. Eventually, he's going to do social media, and him doing creative as well, the main owner of the promotion. Which begs the question why he hasn't hired me to do anything. It's really weird, man.
I mean,
It's bullshit.
he's clearly watched the show.
That's a good point. He's watched the show. He's like, yeah.
What not to do.
Yeah. Let's see.
But,
going through.
But what do you feel about the Lacey thing? Like I said, to me, it's just.
I think they flubbed it, and I don't say that like they don't know what they're doing ever. I feel like. Oh, Kerr brings a good point. I can't legally work in Canada unless you're a Canadian citizen. I don't know how that works in terms of remote work or freelance work. I'm gonna have to ask Bret Hart. But
Just under the table.
Yeah, I could also work illegally, dumbass.
We know a thing about that here in Arizona.
Yeah, we're perfect at that. Yeah, do you need a fake social? Like, I've got dozens, dude. So I think that the Lacey character that we saw this week, this way, is the right way that she should be presented and was correct. I think the problem is we just spent the last 7 or 8 weeks getting pushed around on what is she going to be, what's that going to look like, them really like... I feel like they flubbed it without getting it right the first time and just going with it. They were like, let's do 8 episodes of this is my pitiful life. I'm going to cry every day. And then I'm going to tell people to stand up and give me the respect I deserve and be an asshole. I'm going to prance around and leave. I'm going to say I'm going to have a match and then I won't. I'm going to be on this show and debut and then I'm going to leave. Like, there's been too much of that start-stop shit with her that has made it so at this point, what we saw this week, which I thought was the right thing to do, was also a little hard to be invested in because it's kind of like you're so unstable. And it's not even... you could say it's not her fault, but the way they presented the character makes you think it might be her fault. And it's probably not her fault. It's the creative's fault, but they've already presented her in such a way that you go, well, you've had such an unstable upbringing. You've been all over the place. You're just showing up wherever you want. Like, it's just... you see it and you go, I like this, but who knows what I'm getting tomorrow. You know? That's kind of how I feel about it. Let's see.
I mean, and hopefully, for Lacey's sake, and obviously, they're going to be investing quite a bit of time with her on TV. Like, hopefully they figure it out. Hopefully they're like, hey, this worked. Let's do this.
Yes, it could work.
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, when they kept talking about her childhood, I was a little thrown off. It was so confusing. I forgot exactly what they were talking about, but like you said, an unstable upbringing. I'm like, hey, where did this come from, and why is that all of a sudden a factor now?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just been real start-stop, and it's been hard to invest. And her first character was such shit that it's just tough. I'm glad that this is where they're at with her in this moment, and I just hope they kind of keep this momentum going with this character because I think there's a lot on the table. Even if she doesn't become like the face of your company. With a championship run that takes years, and even if she's not like the best wrestler there, she could actually be a great face for things like the USO tour, for charity works, for like she was at the Daytona 500, and I was like, that's perfect for her. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that one caught me off guard. Like, the Bella's doing it, I'm like, all right, cool. For them to like, hey, we want Lacey Evans, like,
fuck yeah,
really? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Because think about it, most of those people aren't watching WWE, most likely. And the ones who are don't know much about her because she hasn't been doing a ton. So they'll be like, oh, she's a Marine and a WWE wrestler. People are going to go like, fuck yeah, woo.
No, they're watching NASCAR. They're rednecks.
That's why they like the Marine part.
If they taught me anything, wrestling taught me anything, is that rednecks love wrestling.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Who kept driving that home? Was it WCW or WWF?
WCW, when they had
Was
the
it
rap is crap stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had a
All
whole
the
country
rednecks,
song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. Kurt
Well,
Hennig.
because they were in the South. It was Georgia based. So,
Yeah.
what are you thinking about Ronda Rousey, dude? A lot of people have been giving her a lot of flack. They say that she's absolute garbage on the mic. They didn't like any of this stuff here. I want to get your take on it.
It's tough because I'm just a Rousey fan in general, and I was expecting more of the second run. The first run it was okay. She's nervous. The crowd's getting to her. This and that. Blah blah. It's whatever. And the second run is you can tell those same jitters are there. And she needs like a character coach or a poker coach. Like somebody who's like, hey, stay in this lane. When you're supposed to be in this lane, you're only supposed to be in this, because she sits there and she's, smiling and laughing and, waving to the crowd like a little girl and, hey. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. And it's like, damn. Light switch over there.
I think, for me, I like this run because I feel like she's coming off a little more genuine than before, where before it felt like she was really boxed in.
Well, yeah, she was trying.
Yeah.
Now it's like a little more just natural her, and, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too. They haven't touched on it, but you and I both know that she's had those issues with speaking in general. And if you look at other interviews where she is on talk shows, she sounds a lot like she sounds in the ring now. Like she's just being her now, and I like that aspect. There's something I thought was interesting to note, because I've been feeling it too and trying to think about, like, something doesn't seem like it's quite clicking. And I think what's not clicking with Ronda and a lot of the people is she doesn't come off as special anymore. She comes off as a woman on the roster now. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I kind of think that is just what it is. Like, she's just the champion for SmackDown right now, where before it was, holy shit, Ronda Rousey is in WWE. Now it's like, oh yeah, that's the champion Ronda Rousey. She's going to go up against Shotzi. Shotzi's really good. You're going to like her. She's doing pretty good stuff. Like, she's just another name on the roster. And that's not to discount being a name on the roster. Especially SmackDown, I think, has an incredible roster. And I think all the women are so good, but I wonder if that's part of it, is that there's enough fanfare between... Okay, I'm going to step back. This is what I think it is. When Ronda came in the first time, it was a shallow pool of greatness. If you look at the entire history of the champions from SmackDown and Raw, it was Charlotte, Sasha, Alexa, Becky. That was all your champions of SmackDown and Raw. You have Bayley in there. But that was Bayley's short Raw title run, not even having to do with Ronda. Remember when Bayley had it for a couple months?
Yeah.
It was such a good time in my life. But there was not a lot of special outside of the Four Horsewomen. Even Alexa was getting a lot of criticisms, right? Because we talked about it. We liked her. We saw potential, but her matches weren't clicking. Her matches made other people look bad. They didn't make her look good. Like, it was this whole back and forth. When is she going to, like, what's missing, right? Like, it felt like Charlotte and Alexa were being forced down our throats for, like, the previous 2 years, which is what made the man happen, was that Becky was one of the few fan favorites. Because realistically, a lot of the women had fans, but no one was getting back the way Becky was. People wanted more for Becky, and she kept getting screwed out of shit. So when she turned on Charlotte, it was huge. And then when Ronda shows up, it was, here's a massive name, a massive talent amongst the Four Horsewomen. Here we go, right? But even then, everyone talks about Ronda's first title run being crazy and destroying the entire roster. But it was realistically because she was going up against the people who were not on a top level. The entire women's division was on a low level. So she was seemingly steamrolling, even though she was having competitive matches, because no one bought into any of those women being a factor, right? Where now Ronda comes back, and there's massive fanfare behind a ton of the women. It's not just 3 women anymore. Now you've got the Biancas, the Livs, Alexa has a whole different fanfare behind her now. People are ready for her now. You got Dewdrop, people can't get enough of. Shotzi, people want more for. Aaliyah, people are digging. Natty's got a whole new intensity about her that I think people are behind. I think the thing is the women's roster on whole is great now. So when you have someone like Ronda come in, she's another one of the women, where before the roster was not great and was not treated as such, so it felt special. Does that ring true to you at all, or am I going left field on some stuff here? Set me straight, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from, where, you know, because, like, it sucks because you can't help but compare Ronda to Brock, because their UFC backgrounds and stuff like that. And when Brock's there, it's a special affair.
Yes.
And even when he comes back, even when he's back, he's not necessarily back. He's not on Raw every week or SmackDown every week. He'll do like 2 or 3 and then, take a couple off and then go back. It's still very part-time. Whereas Ronda's like, they're almost like she did her tour, the first run, where, she was going to the cities. People were, excited to see her, like, oh my God, that's Ronda Rousey. Because a lot of these cities UFC never went to. And now that she's, did her whole tour, if you will, now that she's come back, the initial shock of her being back and, like the shiny toy type of thing is kind of worn off. Now it's, okay, she's here every week. She's, consistent, and she's just a name on the roster. There's still, obviously it's still Ronda Rousey, but it's not, oh my God, that's Ronda Rousey.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I mean,
especially given that, and obviously Sasha and Naomi are out right now, but given that since Ronda's been gone, we've had Sasha on Star Wars, we've had Becky Lynch come off as the biggest star in the company for a while. It doesn't feel like a big star becoming a part of. It seems like another star on the roster.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. She'll always have her name value, like you said, but Brock doesn't do the other things. Not that Ronda's been doing a bunch of other things, but Brock disappears and he's gone. No one hears or sees of him. He goes to his farm. All of a sudden, he's got a meat rub. Shows up at a hockey game. Waves. Have you had the Brock Lesnar seasoning yet?
No, I've thought about getting it.
Dude, I had some. Beard bought some for when I came up there. We had it on chicken and beef and I think a fish. It was really good, dude. Yeah, real good.
Nice. The rub incarnate.
Yep, rub incarnate. Meat rub incarnate. Yeah. When I get Brock Lesnar seasoned in my hand, I'm going to rub some meat. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Well, Ronda doesn't do the same kind of stuff like when she disappears, but yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting because I think that what happened here was actually good. I think the match was solid. Shotzi looked really good. Shotzi got a little more mic time. Her character work's been awesome. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm really excited what they're doing with Shotzi, and I'm actually kind of happy she lost this one the way she did, because now I'm saying put Shotzi in Money in the Bank, and you have somebody that people are going to be behind to want to see win it. Whether she wins it or not, obviously it's debatable. We got to see who the final 8 are going to be, 7 or whatever. But if Shotzi won, that wouldn't be the worst thing, and it wouldn't be the most surprising thing after that match with their champion.
Yeah.
She looked good. They both look good.
I mean, I like Shotzi. We discussed it before. I'm disappointed about her getting called up and then getting several number one contender matches, winning those several times and actually never getting it. And so, yeah, I mean, if she's in Money in the Bank, she'd definitely be one I'd be rooting for.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll get to it, but I mean, if you look at the the landscape of the Money in the Bank right now, even, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't think I'd have a massive problem with anybody so far. And if you throw Shotzi in the mix, then yeah, here's another one that I really would not mind winning it. Like, it's not like sometimes it goes in and you go, well, this one person's got to win it because everyone else doesn't make sense to even be in the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's only been 2, right? So far?
2 Money in the Bank winners?
No, 2 that are in the women's.
There's 3. There's 3, but we'll get to it because it happens on Raw. Natalya does come out, beats the shit out of Ronda, looking strong. We're going to have a... I did like Ronda positioning the match as though it's going to be submission versus submission in a way. You know what I mean? The armbar versus the sharpshooter. And I'm always happy to see Natalya get a title shot, man.
And I will say about Ronda's promo about that, I did like how she said, your armbar, and then I was like, for a split second, I was like, man, she's going to shit on the sharpshooter and it's going to piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, you know, you just stole it off your uncle type of thing. I was like, all right. Like, I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah, because she was like, your weak version of the hold you stole from your uncle was kind of like trying to say that Brett did it right and you fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was a slick way to be like, hey, the move's solid, but but I don't like you.
Yeah.
But I also liked it when she said that about it, the whole crowd booed. They're like, do not besmirch the goddamn name of the sharpshooter in this house.
Yeah.
You will not. Yeah, I love the crowd booed it. She's like, sharpshooter, and like, don't you fucking...
No.
What'd you think of Gunther and Ricochet, dude? We got a new Intercontinental Champion. Oh, also GR Lunar's in the chat. Cheers, GR Lunar, talking about milking udders and other man shit.
Oh, he's also talking about the Brock Lesnar meat ring.
I believe so. New Intercontinental Champion, Gunther against Ricochet. Clash of styles in a sense, but I loved it, man. I loved all of it. What do you think?
Yeah, it sucks because I want Ricochet to be pushed harder, and you know, he is the IC champ, and the IC champ is, you know, IC in the US have definitely taken over main stage on, you know, each show.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy, but like, I wanted Ricochet to hold it longer and have a nice run and, you know, propel to the top.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, with Gunther winning it, I'm okay with that. I like him. I think he's, you know, a great talent. That one chop that, like, the entire arena all gasped when he hit it.
Because you could hear the hollowness of a human body, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't... Other people, like, slap each other real hard. He hits you so hard your chest echoes. Loud enough for the arena to hear it. It's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Thunk.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. And, of course, Ricochet, top seller in the company.
I honestly feel like his...
That... You need to write this down. That should be a... Well, I guess it'd be a one-man race each year. I was going to say that should be a... What do we call them? The drinkies?
Oh, yeah. The boozies.
The boozies. There you go.
Yeah, one of the boozies should be the best seller of the year. But as long as Ricochet's in the business, it's going to be hard to say it's not him. Although, if you do men and women, so you can go back and forth. Now that Dakota Kai's not in there anymore now, I'd put Liv Morgan up there amongst one of the best sellers.
Yeah.
The way that she takes a hit and will get like that distant look in her face, like she's trying not to go down.
Her facial reaction is really stellar.
Yeah, it's great. She's got that look like, oh shit. She's also funny just reacting. I guess we'll talk about it when we get there. But like in the Nikki and the tag team match they had, Nikki knocks down Alexa and then poses, and you can hear Liv in the background just go, ew!
Yeah.
Just from her posing. So fucking funny. But back on track. Gunther Ricochet. Gunther's Intercontinental Champion, dude. Long may he reign. Dude, his limbs are so massive and lumbering that even with him not looking like a giant baby man, as he kind of was on the indie scene, he looks like a mean motherfucker with these giant like logs for arms and legs, and his kicks and chops just come off like the most vicious thing that's ever happened to somebody in their life.
Yeah. The only thing that gets me with him is I wish he would wear like pants. instead of just the typical Speedo.
You don't want him to take
Because,
his pants off?
well, of course I do, but
Okay, well, that makes more sense.
his he does have, giant legs, but they're not really defined as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it looks like he skips leg day fairly often.
His legs. I think what we're also looking at is he was cutting a lot. I think we're going to start seeing him just get bigger and bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, for whatever it's worth, that's just my impression. That's what I think. So, who knows?
Okay.
We'll see.
And then everyone's going to say he's on steroids.
Yeah, Kuro is in the chat saying, "Do you even have to, or do you have to even try to sell a chop from Gunther?" So he's saying that Ricochet might not be that good of a seller. He just actually got his fucking ass kicked, which is hard to argue.
So with Gunther and his chops, like, how great would it be if he's in a squash match against a jobber and he knocks him out with a chop?
So interestingly enough, in NXT, he had a match against Ciampa, and the whole match, Ciampa was avoiding getting chopped. He was avoiding it, ducking it, doing everything he could to stop the chop from happening. He was working the arm to weaken the chop. The finish of the match was a massive chop by Gunther.
Yeah.
At the time, Walter. It was fucking crazy good, dude. And it was the one time you see a big old chop in the match, and you go, yeah. No, that would kill me. I'd be dead. So, but yeah, it was just perfect, dude. Perfect. Ricochet could be a Hall of Fame talent now, just based off of selling alone, to me. Yeah. Like, if he retired today and said he's going to go into the Hall of Fame immediately, I'd be like, yes. Yeah. Yep.
And the sellers,
man. Just for selling alone.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Let's wrap it up with Smack. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, every time I say that real quick, I just imagine, like, Ricochet in a shirt and tie in an office setting, and, like, people just cheering that he got top seller of the month award.
Yeah.
The polka chub, yay!
Someone comes and punches him in the stomach. He just folds over, collapses, and starts puking blood. And you're like, I don't know how he does it, man. He just does it. It's just a natural. It does end up with Sami Zayn versus Riddle. Paul Heyman on commentary. I thought it was great, dude. This, to me, SmackDown was just like loaded with great matches. I didn't even know who I wanted to win this one, dude, if I'm being honest.
I know who I wanted to win. I clearly wanted Riddle. I would love to see him and Roman go at it.
The reason I was okay with if Riddle lost would have been because to see Riddle on Raw could be great.
Yeah.
And to see Sammy get like a little bit of a nod from the Bloodline potentially, like.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing that pisses me off with that is that the Bloodline, on several occasions, has cheated to win.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole time, and unless they're just throwing a curveball there, like, that's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Because, once again, in WWE doesn't matter, but AEW does. But, like, Sammy's win-loss record, like, it's kind of telling. And for the undisputed universal title, I hate how they keep talking that, or saying that. I hate how they keep saying that and the way that they're talking about the tag title. It's like, well, there's two titles.
Yeah.
Like, make them one then. But anyway, you would think if that, the stakes were so high, that they would have cheated to win.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even been upset if, Roman or one of the Usos ran in there and then looked at Riddle and they're like, and then looked at Sammy and then just punched Sammy. They're like, okay, Sammy won. He doesn't get a title. And then just walk off.
Yeah.
And then Sammy's just sitting there like, why'd you hit me? But storyline wise, I was so confused about that. Like,
yeah.
I love Sammy, but he's kind of, I don't want to say a slug or a punching bag, but, like I said, his win-loss record's kind of telling.
Yeah.
And for, stakes to be that high, you would think
unless the story is that the Bloodline don't view Riddle as an actual threat. You know, if they're like saying, "Hey, let Sammy do this. If he does this, it's a big deal. If he doesn't do it, I'll just have to take care of Riddle myself." Like, it could be like, look, Riddle can't win either way, so it doesn't matter how it comes out. But if we give Sammy the opportunity to either hang himself or elevate himself, you know, from a bloodline kayfabe perspective.
Yeah, and I can see that,
but it wasn't outlined that way. That's me filling a gap that they didn't say.
Yeah, no, I because even when I was thinking about it, I kind of figured that too. Like, yeah, maybe they're just brushing him off, but at the same time, Roman, it seems like he's been absent more times than he's been present.
Yeah.
And
So do you think they take one or both of the titles off Roman this coming up Sunday or Saturday? I mean, or Friday even? Whenever Smackdown happens to be, in case it's not late. I mean, I might not watch it till Sunday, but it'll be on Friday. Because Riddle did win, and so he's going to get his title shot. And Roman tweeted he's got to leave his private boat now and come do tribal chiefship. And it does seem a little out of the nowhere. It does seem like kind of randomly quick.
Yeah. But, because I wouldn't even mind if, Roman said, "Hey, I'll put this one up, but I want to hold on to this one," or something like that.
That's true, because they did say it's for the undisputed championship. They didn't. You're right. They didn't isolate it to one.
Yeah. Well, and they haven't isolated ever since the what is it called? I'm missing a word here. But anyways, ever since he unified them. They haven't made a new belt, which I thought they were going to do immediately. But the other thing is they're referring it to as one title, which is, to me, is weird. Oh, he's holding two belts. Same with the tag.
Yeah. So some of the go ahead.
Now, if they would have said that, if they would refer to as the undisputed champion, because he holds both belts, whatever. But when they keep saying that I'm going after the WWE undisputed universal title, it's like, okay, that's referring to one. It's not plural.
Yeah. Yeah, they're referring to this as one thing. I wonder if part of the reason he's been gone is because they're, stretching out to debut the new title. I feel like that's possible. He might come out on SmackDown with a new title. I know that there's a lot of podcasts and news folk who are speculating that with Roman having a reduced schedule suddenly, that they may need to take the titles off of him. And so this might be a way to do that. I just don't see, because then the other speculation is that, they gave him both titles because he was supposed to go to both shows more often, but now he's on a reduced schedule and doing none of the shows. I don't buy into that. I don't think that they were surprised by his contract all of a sudden. I don't think they suddenly got blindsided by his schedule. I don't buy into that at all. But if we are going that route in just fantasy booking, if you have a dude who's not on either show now and you want someone on both shows, if you're looking for someone with star power, is Matt Riddle really that guy?
Well, right now, like I said, his stock is through the roof. But I think also if you drop the titles to Riddle right now, the whole, what is it, year and a half dominance that Roman had, and then all of a sudden he just kind of drops it. Yeah, drops it on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it would almost feel like a waste. Like, I want a bigger payoff. I want the, I don't know who.
To be honest, I want it with a bigger character. I don't think, as much as Riddle is popular with the fans, I don't see you putting Matt Riddle's face on a flyer and having people going, I got to go get that ticket. I got to go see it. But I do know that if they tell me Roman's going to be at a live show here, I'm going. If they say Riddle, I go, okay, that's cool. Who all is on the cart? Like, it's not enough to sway me that I have to go.
I would.
Right. I wouldn't be upset to see him. But he's not one of the guys on there who I think are just undisputed draws the way that Roman is. I think you could even argue that Kevin Owens or Sammy could bring in people more consistently because of how overall their stuff is in general. Not to say they should
Kevin Owens, Sammy. I think Sammy might be a stretch, but
I think Sammy's beloved right now.
I think you want him to be beloved, but I don't think he is. Like, I love Sammy, don't get me wrong. it took me a while to get there, kind of with Bailey. I wasn't 100% on the Bailey boat or Sammy boat, but, actually seeing them, I'm like, all right, I do like these guys. They're great and stuff like that. But like I said, I just want the payoffs to be bigger. We've had to suffer through, I don't want to say suffer, but we've had to, see Roman dominate everyone for the last couple years. Like, I want the oh shit moment. I want the fuck yeah, finally, and not saying it's been bad, but it's like, finally somebody took it off of him. Like, cool, like, that's awesome. And I don't think Riddle on a Friday night SmackDown is that.
I don't think it is either. Let's see, in the chat a little bit, Kuro says, how's the Money Bank going to work? Because can someone challenge for just one title? Right now, it doesn't seem like it, but maybe. Lunar says, and this is typical Lunar shit right here. This is as Lunar as it gets. He goes, if Reigns drops to Riddle, then Riddle is the transitional champion because he'll drop it to Goldberg. Lunar's always trying to find out a way to get the title back on Goldberg. I'll tell you right now, if Goldberg's not in Money in the Bank, he's not going to be that interested. He's been saying for years he wants Goldberg to have the Money in the Bank so he could be the Goldberg in the Bank. And then he'll get the title that way. Like, that's just how Lunar is, dude. He's such a Goldberg fan. He's, like, blinded by it all.
He loves gold.
Yeah.
See, and, if, let's just say the end goal is to get in on Goldberg.
Is Goldberg on, with a gray beard? Is that Silver and Goldberg?
It's White Goldberg.
Put it on Bobby at that point? Maybe.
Yeah, because Bobby still killed his son.
That's true. Bobby did destroy his son.
Well, he severely hurt his son, and then Goldberg had to go over there and choke his own son out so his son would have quit smiling.
Yes. Yes, this is true too. Kuro says that not even Quebec likes Sami Zayn. He's being a dick today. I don't know his problem. I don't know his
hot.
issues.
That's the problem. The weather's getting to him.
Yeah, he's getting all hot-headed over there.
No, and like I said, Sammy's not the draw you want him to be in his eyes or in your eyes, yes. But
well, let's say this even: AJ, Seth Rollins, I think Roman, Becky. I'm just saying, like, names of when someone's on that flyer, that people are going to say, well, we got to go to see them. I don't think Riddle's
100%.
At that point right now. I think Riddle's another
100%.
name on the card right now.
No, 100%, and I agree with you there. The thing is that, most of the marquee guys, if you will, most of them are on Raw.
Yes.
Like if Seth got
Except
it or
Sami
AJ
Zayn.
got it, it'd be like, I'm trying to think of, outside of Riddle coming from Raw to SmackDown, like, who's SmackDown's, like, top guys or one of the.
Honestly, I would put Drew McIntyre up there.
Oh yeah.
Is Baron on SmackDown or Raw? Because Corbin, I think that he could get there. I don't think Corbin's too far off.
I don't think so either, but I think you were making the point with Riddle and that he's not there yet. He could get there. I think Baron's there.
Yeah.
Or Baron's not there yet, or Happy. It's not Baron anymore. Excuse me.
That's true.
Happy
Dumbass.
isn't there yet. Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a little tough. I don't see them. Yeah, and I also just think that at the end of the day, I don't think that the WWE was shocked by Roman's schedule. I don't think they're trying to backtrack. I think they're just doing it the way they were going to do it anyways. I don't think that there's been a big shift in anything, but I think that us as fans and want a fantasy book, I think it's totally fine too. And I do think it's kind of cool. Like, let's see. I don't know. I don't think Riddle's that guy yet, but this might make him that guy, right? I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. Other than that, maybe it could be MJF, dude.
No.
MJF could join Money in the Bank, win it, cash in.
I mean, it'd be funny.
Great.
Right.
It'd be hysterical. I also just like Paul Heyman on commentary. He was hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, outside of, like, I thought the match was great outside of the finish. Like, and like I said, unless they're trying to throw me the curveball, swerve, you know, I was expecting somebody to interfere, something to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. And then, especially for the Usos to come in afterwards and attack Riddle, which then debunks Shear's theory of, you know, well, they don't think him as a threat. Well, they clearly think of him as a threat, or else they wouldn't have gone out there and attacked him.
Well, yeah, but once they knew that he won, they got to weaken him up, right?
Yeah.
But then they got their asses.
Riddle's next.
Yeah.
For Lunar.
Yeah, for Lunar, he's next. Let's see. Well, let's talk Raw. Dude, Raw, I felt like was such a floundering show. It had a few really great segments and matches, but they were few and far between, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just kind of like, okay.
Was that turd that just won't flush.
The nugget?
It just seemed like, that one nugget where it's like, all right, it's done. You know, we're good. No. And, you know, it just, it was hard. It was really hard. I was watching it live, and for a lot of it, I was just like disinterested in it. I'm like sitting there.
If I'm being honest, AJ versus Seth, I think, was my favorite part of the show.
And it should have closed the show.
It should have closed the show.
Because, real quick, going on that, you know, they, you know, all the times we've seen AJ versus Seth, every single time they said, this could be the WrestleMania main event. You're getting a WrestleMania main event here in wherever, or on Raw or SmackDown, wherever it's been. You know, they hype it up so much. And going into the show, I kept thinking that it was going to be the main event. And then it happened, and I was like, okay. And then I kept watching, and I forget which segment it was, but I was like, oh, are they going to end on this? And I completely forgot that, you know, the pose-off was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, seriously? And then I wanted to turn off the pose-off so bad, and I'm like, nope, something big's going to happen. They wouldn't save it for the end, because, you know, unless something big's going to happen. And all we got was...
a regular pose-off.
Yeah, a regular pose-off with a money shot with Baby Oil. And that was it.
Yeah. Dude, the irony of that pose-off being in the main event is if it was at any other part of the show, it would have been a totally good segment.
Yeah.
It would have been fine.
Yeah, 100%.
It would have been fine even if you put it at like the top of the hour, second hour, great. Cool, here's two dudes acting like, you know, jocks. Austin Theory's coming off as a total douchebag. Bobby's nice guy, but he's a physical specimen. It was great as far as pushing that particular story along. But at the end of it, nothing had happened that you didn't expect to happen. You weren't surprised by any of the outcomes. Like, it just was a storytelling mechanism to get to the next part. And so at the end of the show, as the closer of it, you kind of went like, what? You usually leave on a big pop, you know, or big, like even comedians land with one big joke, you know, like a cliffhanger, a massive something, like, I think it's completely been knocked by the fact of where it was in the show. If it was anywhere else in the show, I think people would have been like, pretty solid segment, does what it needs to do.
Yeah, it was what it was,
Yeah.
But for it to end the show, can you imagine if they didn't have like a dark match? And it's like, all right, everyone go home. Like, how pissed would you be if you were in the arena? And like I said, you got Theory playing with his baby oil and squirting it in Bobby's face, and all right, that's it, clear the arena.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the dark match was, but it better have been fire.
Yeah.
Or else I would have been pissed paying money and seeing that shit.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, yeah, dude, I mean, and I'm looking even at the matches and stuff, like, even the opening thing, Miz TV with Riddle and Heyman and Is that when Ciampa
Well,
came out? Like, but that was okay at best.
And it like the Ciampa match with
Riddle.
who was it? Riddle, yeah.
Yeah.
It was all right. Like it was to me, I just didn't understand where Ciampa fit in the whole scenario.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get that, but it opens up with Miz TV and then Riddle, and then they're like, oh, this Friday. They're making the match of Riddle versus Roman a marquee match, and it should be because that's going to be the main event on Friday. But if it wasn't solidified before, this Raw, with how much they pushed SmackDown, shows which is the A and the B show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. What do you think about the stipulation? If Riddle doesn't win, he never gets another shot at the title while Roman holds it. You think that means that he's going to win or he's going to have to lose?
I didn't hear that.
No, that's the stipulation that Paul Heyman added to it.
Really?
He'll never get another shot.
Oh, wait, I did remember that, right? He slightly added that weasel-like at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I want the payoff to be bigger.
Oh, shit.
Roman loses.
You know what it might mean?
What?
That Riddle loses on Friday and wins Money in the Bank.
Maybe.
Because then that's the only way that the stipulation can't hold because,
Mm-hmm.
Because then he's guaranteed that.
Until Riddle throws a curveball and goes after the 24/7 title with Money in the Bank.
That'd be good. But, and like he wins it, so it pops their stats. Yeah, look, 90% success rate.
Nailed it, guys.
Let's see. Kira says, when the stipulation is the person never gets another shot, the move is win by DQ. That's not how it worked with Cody Rhodes. Look at him now. But he could win by DQ. I think what's going to happen, he's going to lose. They're going to say, oh, you don't get it. And then he's going to get in Money in the Bank, win Money in the Bank, because I think Cody Rhodes is going to win Royal Rumble. But
if he's back, which he should be. But yeah.
I think he would come back even if he wasn't supposed to come back. I think he's a maniac. Can you imagine he comes back, re-injures himself in the Rumble, purple, and then fucking has to wrestle at WrestleMania with a purple arm again? Fucked up. It's like his new gimmick is the constantly working hurt. Be terrible, dude. Yeah, and like I agree with you. Ciampa only fit in here because he was sort of being Miz's mercenary, like going after people in Miz's storylines, but it was never like really stated. It just kind of was. It kind of was what it was if you looked at it. But now it's shown that he's largely ineffective. He was able to beat Mustafa Ali, who everyone else has beat the shit out of, and he's not able to beat Matt Riddle, who's in the way of them getting what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
He's ineffective. So it kind of diminished Ciampa here to lose this way.
Yeah.
But like you said, it wasn't a bad match, but it definitely wasn't great for Ciampa.
No. And Ciampa's one of the guys that I want to see him pushed and
yes. I've seen him do some cool shit.
Yeah.
Even
Jimmy because like Ciampa's like to me kind of always been the kind of like the loose cannon Brian Pillman type. You don't know what he'll do, and like I think he, I obviously don't want to see him go down the ranks that far, but I think it'd be cool to see him with the 24/7 title. And be like, no, we're gonna turn it back into the hardcore title or something.
Do like what I said that they should have done with Aleister Black, where he wins it and people don't want to come after it, and he like sits in the ring and just goes like, "Come on, let's do this," and just like beats the shit out of people and makes it like a difficult thing to get at that point.
Yeah,
that could be cool.
He literally like lays down and somebody, come on.
Yeah,
I'll do it with one arm tied behind my back.
Yeah, that's how he beat Gargano. With both arms tied behind his back. He beat Gargano in a no-holds-barred match, so we know he can do it against losers. That's why Gargano sucks. You guys can have him. Keep him. Jimmy Uso versus Montez Ford. I want to know what you thought about it.
No give-backs.
Yeah.
Montez Ford versus... it was a good match.
I liked it for Montez Ford. There was one part where he was really goofy, but for the most part, he was taking the match really seriously.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's putting on some size. I'm seeing him progress.
Yeah. Like you said, when I took, after Mania and I, didn't watch for a while, when I came back, I was like, there's something different about the Street Profits and more so Montez Ford. And maybe this is what everyone's been talking about. Like, hey, he clearly has talent, but it's like he's taking the next step in his career or evolution. Like,
it seems like he is aware that their act is getting stale.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And not stale in a way that like people are turning on him and people don't like him anymore, but stale in the way of it's same old right now. And so he's starting to shift it, where I don't think Dawkins has picked up on that because he's like doubling down on being the same as ever. Where he even seems like he's getting in worse shape because he was getting in good shape for a little while, and now it seems like he's getting off of that. Looks gassier than ever. Probably shits his pants. I don't know, but I would guess.
I mean, it'd be interesting if all of a sudden he brings back the stink face.
Ooh, that would be good. But you could hear it. But so I liked the match. I actually liked it. Yeah, you just start seeing people puke in the ring.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a bad match, but it, they're kind of building Street Profits versus Usos, but outside of just the wrestling match, like storyline wise, I wasn't that interested in it. But the match was good.
And I was watching this match differently than I watch a lot of the other ones because it's like, okay, I want to see what Montez is going to do on his own here. Instead of just being like in the story, this was really, I was watching it like out of story and just being like, what is he presenting as himself right now? Because I feel like there's been a shift and I want to see what he's like without his partner so much, right? And I was like, can he get a little bit serious? And this one was a lot more serious and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Kira says, watch Cody come back and enter Money in the Bank and win all with a post-surgery injury just to cash it in at SummerSlam when Roman's fighting someone else. Maybe Seth and Cody does to Seth what Seth did to Reigns and Lesnar. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that we're setting up Matt Riddle to win. Or Riddle, as it were. Let's see. I'm liking the Asuka Becky stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
It wasn't like episode changing, but they did their thing. Cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, and the thing that got me with this is, we talked about it last week with Becky and, she's going after the 24/7 title and it's like, why? What she did with it was, to Dana, where she attacked her and then she's like, I don't give a shit about that title. Cool. I like that. But I think this would have been a nice point to have Dana lose the 24/7 title, because Becky attacked her.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're actually elevating Dana back into the women's division.
Mm.
Well, I'm going after Becky. She cost me my title. This and that. And then
that could have been a nice
I think that
pivot.
Yeah, I think that could have been a nice launching pad for her.
Yeah.
And outside of that, we're just getting Asuka versus Becky. I don't like that as of now, one of them's going to miss Money in the Bank. But like you said, a lot of the times it's like, all right, double elimination. You all get one more shot. Whoever wins this gauntlet or rumble or whatever gets in. But it just feels weird that Asuka or Becky won't be in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though I don't think Becky needs to be in it, if Becky is in it, I don't think she wins it by any means because she doesn't need it. Outside of elevating and putting her name in the match, elevating, who's in it, like, I don't think she should win it because, we've said it with, several other people that have won Rumble or Money in the Bank in the past where it's like, they could literally just ask for a title shot and probably get it if they want it.
Yeah, because that's the other problem with the world that they've created is the amount of times they've had people do that successfully. I want a championship title match. Adam Pearce comes out, sounds good to me. Here you go, and
It's
no one has to earn
official.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is that because typically, I mean, you have guys sometimes guys and women who win these things, and you go, well, they don't need it because they could just got it. But storyline wise is why they needed it. Like Stone Cold was at the height of his career when he was winning Royal Rumble, but it was because he needed it as a character because it didn't make him a star. It was the character Vince wasn't going to let him. So now Vince didn't have a say in it anymore. You know what I mean? So they had to work around it.
Well, the chips were the ball wasn't in his court where he could have at that moment he couldn't ask for a title shot.
Yeah, and even if the champion said he wanted it, Vince wouldn't have given it to him. So this was the only way to circumvent Vince. So, and also you could say that Brock Lesnar never needed Money in the Bank, but Brock in the Bank was awesome.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
the Brock Party.
Yeah, so it's tough. I would say that I agree that Becky doesn't need it, but I also think that Becky would make the most of it, and I think that it could be a fun little thing. But I mean, we'll see. We will see. Speaking of Money in the Bank, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan win their way into Money in the Bank against Doudrop and Nikki ASH. I like this match. I like the pairing between Liv and Alexa. It is a little weird to see a women's tag match knowing that there's no tag titles for them to go for, and that's part of the reason why. Like, I know there were stipulations on the match. Yeah, they did the Money in the Bank thing, but it also doesn't make sense for two people to qualify because one person pins someone else. Like, it was a stretch to me, and it kind of, to me, highlighted the importance of the tag titles, giving tag women a purpose that makes sense, something to fight for. Bayley and Sasha had always said that was part of their reason behind it, of wanting it, was that they had all these tag matches for no reason and no stakes. Like, putting two of them in Money in the Bank to me doesn't feel the same as stakes, right? It just sort of. So, a bummer we don't have the tag titles right now, but cool to see Alexa and Liv in there. And I think that Alexa, Liv, and Lacey right now are all three people who could believably take that briefcase,
Oh, yeah.
And the match was solid. I think they all worked really well together.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it is weird that a tag match, gets you qualified for Money in the Bank. But the only thing I didn't like is that you have a kind of established team lose to two people that were just thrown together. But since it was a one-off, then, all right, you kind of get a slide for it. I'm okay, but yeah.
It highlighted the lack of women's tag right now, which was a bummer. But that was like a downside of a good match. And to be honest, the only other thing, I liked Bianca Belair's promo and the back and forth she had with Ripley. I did like that. It wasn't the greatest thing of all time, but it was neat. I'm happy to see where that's going. And outside of that, the only other thing that I really liked was Ezekiel and Kevin Owens, just because I think that what they're doing is solid, and everything else was just kind of static to me.
Yeah, like, Ezekiel and KO, they've had their recent problems with each other, and it continued the storyline, and I thought it was interesting that Ezekiel said that Elias was going to return next week.
Yes, yeah. So next week we're going to get a concert with Elias.
Well, and that's what I was going to... I kind of started talking to you briefly about it pre-show, was that that little segment wasn't on Hulu.
Oh.
Because I watched it. Yeah, I watched it live, and I wanted to go back, to that segment, and when I tried to find it on Hulu, it wasn't there. So I thought it was kind of interesting, but then I was like, well, it makes sense because that was more of a mid-card thing, But, yeah, it just sucked that was cut.
Yeah.
That was, like, truthfully, that was probably, if I had to pick a highlight of the night, it was kind of that.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, let's see where we're gonna go with this. That was like the biggest cliffhanger. Even if the show ended on that, I would have been like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Them have their
But
match. You have Kevin Owens screaming and Ezekiel saying, "Hey, next week you're gonna have a concert, and you're gonna see my brother Elias." I like how he goes. He looks a little older. And you're like, okay, this is gonna be good already.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, this is gonna go great. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That's more of a cliffhanger than anything in the post down, and it actually made me really excited to see Raw this coming week. I was like, I can't fucking wait to see what they do with his Ezekiel, Kevin Owens, Elias thing, and like you said, it moved the story along just fine, but also the storytelling capabilities of KO and Ezekiel, the Zeke freaks. I like how
I love that.
yeah, Corey Graves was calling them Zeke geeks. Like,
Yeah,
it's just so good. All of the stuff they're doing.
and
And I like that
I like
Ezekiel rushed the catchphrase. He's going to remind you that WWE stands for Walk with Elias. Like, he messed it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, like purposely, like
Yeah. Yeah, that little detail was so perfect to me. Like, of course he wouldn't do it right. He's not Elias.
yeah, he's not Elias. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was funny, and once again, I like Elias and Ezekiel obviously, but I like I haven't talked about it, but I like his gear. He looks like
Yes.
an Ultimate Warrior, Texas Tornado, like with the armbands. He doesn't have them hanging, but to me, it's a big shout out to like the '90s guys, the early '90s guys.
Yeah, because those guys used to wear bands on their arms all the time. Even the guys who didn't have tassels had bands. You know what I mean? Like, it was a thing. You good?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
All right. Well, I mean, I didn't have a ton more, so now I'm really confused. But yeah, I like. Oh, your audio broke. I'm gonna have to mute you here, so you're gonna have to wave me down when you come back because it's echoing back into me. But the the Ezekiel stuff, his look, bringing back Elias, it's awesome. As far as the rest of the show, like I was saying, there's nothing else that I thought was really that notable. Seth is in the Money in the Bank now. He qualified against that match at AJ that we referenced. We didn't mention that. MVP defeating Cedric Alexander to me was what it was, staticky. Chad Gable versus Mustafa Ali felt like that could have been on the dark match before the show. Like, it didn't feel like it was doing anything for anybody, if I'm being honest. Like, I like both those guys and think they're both really good, but I don't see at all what purpose that held or where we got with it. And then Veer defeating Rey Mysterio with submission. This is another one that just feels like we've had a... I don't know. We didn't mention it before because we already talked about Bobby Lashley theory. But Max Dupree was supposed to be on SmackDown, and he didn't make it to SmackDown because they said of a travel issue. On their Twitter, they said it was because he was stuck in Europe or some shit. And so now people are all like, oh, he's going to go get Cesaro. If he was really stuck in Europe, then this has nothing to do with storyline. If he was actually stuck in Florida and they said Europe, then maybe. But I don't know. I think Veer is somebody who could easily move into the Max Dupree stable, and I'm excited to see what they do this week, too. I'm actually more excited this week than last week just because we're probably going to actually get Max Dupree's debut here. And because we're going to get Elias coming back. Those are like my two most excited things. And we're going to see Sami Zayn try to rebuild confidence from the bloodline. That's going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Max Dupree, it's like whatever. I'm not that interested in maximum male models and stuff. But, I think it did create more buzz online than anything else.
Yeah.
Like you said with Cesaro and stuff like that. And, if Veer's on there, I mean, I was going to say it, like, when's that guy going to be in a hair match? Because he's got a straight lion mane on his head.
Yeah, he looks crazy, dude. But yeah, man, I don't think I have anything else from the shows. They kind of just wasn't the best week for Raw. Raw was kind of flat, a lot of it. They were just like segments here and there that was like, okay, that was pretty cool, but overall it was just like on. Where SmackDown, I was like glued for the matches, but a lot of in between matches I was kind of like, what's this? You know what I mean? It was just kind of a weird week.
So I was gonna say, I was thinking about it. Like, what do you think the odds are if they drop calling Theory Vince McMahon's protege now with everything else?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, you think they'd have to, right?
Yeah. I guess they would just not bring it up
At
as
least,
much.
Yeah, I mean, at least, make it not as, apparent, and, at least until more facts start coming in.
Yeah. I don't know. And maybe I'm just biased and weird about stuff, but it's like people are really hammering home the idea that Vince had affairs with people, and I just don't feel like I can muster up any give a fuck about something like that. A powerful rich dude getting hooked up with people
sticky somewhere else. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that shit. I feel like that happens in like every fucking where. Like I've seen that shit in
100%.
business and companies that I've worked in that are not billion-dollar companies. It just seems like such a minute thing to me that everyone's getting wrapped up on, and I feel like I should care more than I do. It's probably shitty, but it's like,
well, see,
okay.
This to me, this runs along the lines of the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. Like,
yes,
why was that such big fucking deal?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, he's a big name celebrity. He lost Pirates of the Caribbean thing supposedly because of this. Not supposedly, because of all the allegations and shit like that. But, like, to me, that's not, like, fucking front page news. I don't care. Two people got messy divorce and they're fighting about things. Fuck, who cares?
Yeah,
Like you said, with Vince McMahon, the only thing that I would say that might come up with WWE, like you said, if rich guys have affairs, is it right? No. Do they do it? Yes. Did he pay hush money? Yes, people pay hush money. They have the means to do that.
Yeah.
The only thing with Vince is that if he was taking, like, straight, like, company money and paying these women off.
Yeah.
Assuming they're women. Yeah. But, like, it is his business, the shareholders and stuff like that. Like, if he took money from the shareholders and, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know, dude.
That's the only time.
I think what we're both trying to say is that my hunch is that this is going to become non-news real fast. I think the WWE is doing an internal investigation. If I had to bet, it sounds like they have a lot of evidence that came out about them finding non-disclosure things. I don't think the company or the person are supposed to talk about it, so I think that somebody who leaked it may get fired. I don't think Vince will get fired. I think that if anything, Vince pays back the company, and then everyone moves on, because it sounds like a small amount of money for some, like, personal shit that he shouldn't have probably done.
Small amount of money for him.
For him. For $1 billion company, like, it seems like he could just sell a few stock and be moving forward. Like, I think it's going to blow over and people are going to be pissed about it, is what I think is going to happen. I think the company's going to deal with it internally, and it will just move on with him, and people are going to be like, how could this happen? Like, that shit doesn't happen in all other companies all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just not made public.
Yeah.
And like you said, the person that made it public is probably going to be losing their job.
That person probably get fired, and everyone's going to be pissed and say they're firing the whistleblower. And I think it's going to be a bigger mess on the other side, is what I mean, because I think that it's going to become a real non-factor for the company. And I think people are going to lose their minds about that. That's my
because hilarious if it's all just storyline.
Yeah, it's for the story. We'll just see how it plays out. Yeah, it's just that way Austin Theory can have an affair on one of his storylines. Reese or something. You know what I mean? It's got to be somebody.
Yeah. Right?
I don't think we have any other wives in there. Becky's not going to be part of something like that. So, but I think that's all I got, man. I think that's it.
Maybe Lacey. Maybe.
Oh, Lacey, that's a good
child
point.
Is Vince's. Who was it? Oh, it was supposed to be
It was
Rick.
Flair's. It's Flair's child, and
Vince
so
is covering up.
Vince is covering it up with his protege theory. Yeah, that's probably how it's all going to play out. Yeah, if I had to venture a guess. All right, man. Anything else that you think that we got to hit? Because I think that Raw was kind of lackluster, and I think covering in about 20 minutes felt about right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was what it was, and it was rough to watch. And
we're ready to move on. I'm ready to see Elias this week. I'm excited. I pulled out my old Walk with Elias t-shirt so I can wear it on Monday. Yeah, it's going to be good, man. It's going to be a good time. Anybody who is interested, I do want to just shout out real quick, ringscoops.com. I've been doing recaps for their YouTube for Smackdowns. It's just kind of a precursor to our show where we have a proper sit-down drink with our drinking buddies, the IIRonics, to really break it down frame by frame. But if you want a quick recap with a quick concept of how I'm leaning, that's the place to find it at ringscoops.com. Outside of that, wrestlingontherocks.com, you can find all of our stuff. Find us on TikTok. What is it? WOTR 1 episode?
I forget.
Oh my God, you've been yelling at me about it. You don't even know what it is.
I don't have it memorized. It's not the same.
All right, we're going to tweet it out. It'll be in our bio or something. Hashtag new bio. Yeah, so check us out there. Apart from that, guys, you can find at Kevlar on the Rocks tweeting incessantly, consistently, nonstop. That guy gets tired of tweeting. He did freeze, though, so I think that his thing disconnected, which is funny to me. But, guys, I'm at Ref Marsh. We want to thank you all for coming through and having a drink and being our drinking buddies for the night. Outside of that, we're going to be back tomorrow night talking to Miss Amanda Jane and Shakes Montana, and maybe, just maybe, we may have a clump back in action. So come back tomorrow night right here in the dive bar of the IWC for another drink right here on episode 1. Is that right? That's got to be close to right.
all right, I'm back. I don't know what the hell happened.
I just did last call. I said
Oh,
that's
cheers.
last call. You want to do it? Say cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, I fell down.
Hey, you fell? Great.
Mm-mm.
It's only episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.